What's up, guys? This is Sammy Geek back here with a quick 30-day review of my 2024 Kia EV9. There's a lot to say, but I'm going to try to keep this video to about five or 6 minutes. And I also want to talk about a little topic of what is the difference between problem and reality. So in the forums and the comments and things like that, you might hear just EVs in general, the Kia EV9 in general. People are identifying what they see as a problem or they see as a downfall to this car. So after 30 days of ownership, I just want to point that out. What is the problem? What is the reality? And I have a few subjects that we'll talk about. But what has my 30-day experience been with this car so far? Just to keep this short and sweet, everything has been perfect. I have no complaints about this vehicle whatsoever. Of course, there's things that I wish I could change, like I wish it had adaptive suspension, adaptive dampers. Like that would be awesome. If I could adjust that, that would be great. But overall, it's been great. The only real downside to this car I see is maybe the trunk space and the front space. I wish that was a little bit bigger, but it is quiet. The tech is awesome. It is super comfortable to drive. The heads-up display is fantastic. The digital rear view mirror is awesome. Yes, there's a limited storage in the back, but it does make up for it with the kind of the pull-out center console thing. That's super great. It is, I want to say this again, it is very quiet. Like I don't hear any squeaks, rattles, nuts and bolts, any suspension noise happening. I just don't get any of that. So it's been a great, really great car. If you're shopping for this vehicle, I do want to point out something. People talk about the price point of this thing. These are things I've been thinking about over the last 30 days. There has been a lot of talk of who is going to pay $75,000 for a Kia. And I want to point that out because nobody should be paying $75,000 for this fully loaded GT line. The reason is because Kia offers rebates, discounts if you buy it. They offer specific rebates or discounts or incentives if you lease it. So you're not paying $75,000 for a Kia, you guys. If you doubt me on that, call the people that I bought this from. It is Dave or Christine at Luther Kia in Bloomington, Minnesota. Give them a call and tell them that you saw my video and you would like to investigate pricing on this car. And even if you're not quite sure if you're that interested in it yet, there's a few different models. You can get into the GT line, which is a tippy top, or you can, I think there's the Wind and there's another model, long range, or you guys will have to look it up. I don't know all the specifics on the models. I just know the GT line, but there are different price points to get into. But what you see at the MSRP, I assure you, that's not what you're paying. And people shouldn't be paying that these days with new vehicles. You never walk into a dealership and pay MSRP. So people are getting all caught up on the fact that they're saying it's a $75,000 Kia. But what Kia did here, again, this is after 30 days of ownership and just thinking about this, Kia took a little bit of a risk because they threw everything in the kitchen sink into what is branded a Kia. And they're like, let's just see how far we can go with this thing. Let's build a hell of a car, put it out there and see what happens with, it's almost like a test market is what I'm trying to say, because this is a very specific vehicle. This is a big SUV with 3 rows and it's an EV. So you're kind of pigeonholed on your clientele that's going to purchase this vehicle. But I think Kia took a little bit of a risk putting this thing out there. And I really think they knocked it out of the park. They really did. You guys go check out the other reviewers that are talking about this thing. I know Kyle from Out of Spec just got his hands on a couple of them. He's been doing some reviews. It's really a hard vehicle to say bad things about. It's one of the strangest vehicles that I've owned because no matter what, if I look at it and I'm like, I want to pick something out that I don't like, I can nitpick, like I said, the size of the front, but because it's such a strong package overall, I sound like I'm trying to sell you one of these, but it's my 30-day review. Honestly, 30-day review as a consumer buying this thing. It's really hard for me to pick something bad out. it makes you want to root for Kia to continue to head down this path of making these vehicles that are truly going to compete with like the Teslas of the world and the Rivians of the world. So there's something special about this vehicle that you get only after you own it for a while, where you really truly appreciate it. And I think the fact it flies under the radar is really kind of cool, because I think honestly, I think probably 90% of the people that see this thing on the road, they have no idea that it's an EV until maybe they see the EV9 badge on the back. But yeah, it's pretty funny, because I'm certain some of the people that would poo-poo EVs, I think you guys know who I'm talking about, just don't even bat an eye when they see this thing driving down the road. So it's kind of fun like that, because you're flying under the radar and you know you're rocking an EV. But no, seriously, there's really nothing for me to pick out. It's just so quiet, it's comfortable, the seats are awesome. There's, for the price, I just can't ask for anything else other than Kia should have put more frunk space and more under seat storage space. So that's about it as far as the 30-day review goes. I don't have a lot to say, because there's really not. Everything overall has been a great experience. I talked about range in my last video. I was pleased with that. The handling seems great for this vehicle. It's very, very soft when you want it to be, and it is planted around S curves when you want it to be as well. Again, the dampers would have been awesome, but nothing to complain about. Like this thing, I took it out in some snow, I think I mentioned in one of my videos, and it was really great with these factory tires in the snow. It's not gonna be like a dedicated snow tire, but I found that to be good. So I do like the fact that it has a sunroof. And so the sunroof goes back from about here to here when you fully open it, but I like it because it kind of adds a little bit of a cool look to it. I don't know, just like a sporty look when you're seeing the vehicle. And then of course the open air is really cool, because on my Rivian and my Teslas, it was just a glass roof. Now from here to here is another glass section. This does not function, but it does allow light to come into the second row and the third row. So if it's a warmer day, you can essentially open this up and then pull the shade back on this and crack your windows a little bit, and you get a really nice bright experience. So that's pretty cool. That's something a little bit different than you would normally see in an EV. Pretty neat. So its charging experience has been fantastic with it. No glitches, no issues. Not really any issues with the app. There was one time with the app when it was down when I tried to log in, but short of that, it's been really great. So problem versus reality. Let's just talk about a couple things here. The front space and the rear space that I keep talking about, that's a problem on paper, and it is in reality, but the reality of it is that, like the frunk, let's just talk about that for a second. When I had the frunk in my Model 3, my Model Y, my Model X, I probably used it like twice a year. So I really can't fault, you know, I put a soccer ball in there, some little cones and some sporting equipment for my son. And that's about it. That's all I'm probably ever gonna stick in there. So I probably shouldn't say much about that. I was able to mitigate the trunk issue by just putting a little storage bin back there, essentially a little storage bin that's got little sections. I threw some ice skates in there, and I can put grocery bags in there or whatever when I'm shopping. Got around that. So that really has not been an issue. The range of this vehicle, again, I talked about in my last video, so I won't go too far today with this. And I'm already going way over the time I promised, but just real quick on the range, this thing is quoted at about 270 miles of range, but it's interesting because if you look at the rear wheel drive version, the rear wheel drive version is quoted at a little bit higher. Go check out Kyle's video on his range testing of the GT line versus the rear wheel drive, and you'll be surprised because I think that the range was about the same. There's an economy mode on this that you can turn on, and it will essentially, when you're going down the highway, it deactivates the front motor. So this guy will shut off in the front, and you can see this happening on the display, and you're just powering the vehicle with the rear motor. So you're essentially turning this GT line all-wheel drive into a two-wheel drive vehicle on nice highway cruising. So the range is not really an issue. They're quoting this one with all-wheel drive at 270. And I think, you know, look at Kyle's video. You guys will see the proof there where he does the testing. But range to me is not an issue. I drove this on that 3-hour test that I did for you guys, and I thought the efficiency was great for being a big 3-row SUV. And I thought the range was great as well. So no issues there. I feel pretty confident. You know, look at like a Rivian R1S or R1T with the all-terrains and the large pack, and you're right at that like 270, 280 range. You're not well over into 300s. There is a dual motor variant that you can get that I believe will put you into 300, but the quad motor variant with an all-terrain tire, you're like 270, 280. And again, probably a subject for another day, but if you're traveling 300 miles a day, you're probably not a candidate for an EV already. But if you travel 100 miles a day or 150 miles a day, charge it at night, rip it around, do your travels, charge it back, you know, when you get home, plug it in. The other thing was the ground clearance. Some people were like, it's kind of low on the ground clearance. It doesn't have enough ground clearance. Well, what are you gonna do with this thing, first of all? I don't know where people come up with this, because if you're gonna take some light off-roading trails, you could do that in a Model Y. I mean, you could do that in a car. If you're taking some serious off-road trails, this is probably not the vehicle for you. You're probably gonna wanna look at an R1S that's gonna have like 14 inches of ground clearance and air suspension in the whole 9 yards. But taking a gravel road or a little dirt road somewhere, this thing is gonna be perfectly fine. And here's how I know why, because I just mentioned this. The Model Y is capable of doing like a little dirt road, gravel roads, things like that. We have one, and I measured it, and I believe this was about 2 inches higher than the Model Y as far as ground clearance. And I went up under here where it is legit the lowest point, and I was getting close to 2 inches, I believe, between the Model Y and this. And for me, the Model Y was never ever an issue driving through snowstorms or taking an occasional little camping trail to get up to a tent site or something. And this has 2 inches more of ground clearance, and it's a big SUV and the whole family can fit in it. So plenty of ground clearance. If you want more, go buy an R1S. And then pricing, we spent some time talking about pricing. I think there's the problem in reality. I think the problem is that people are seeing the MSRP of this vehicle, and then the reality is nobody's paying MSRP for this vehicle. So that's about it, guys. It's been 30 days. It's been a great experience. No issues overall. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I will ping you guys back. If there's any content you guys want me to make for this vehicle, let me know, man. I have a lot of fun on the weekends with recording these videos and answering you guys and talking about the Kia EV9. So have a great day. We'll catch up soon. Thanks.